Welcome to Live Like an Acrobat. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, two-time World Acrobatic Gymnastics Champion, USA Gymnastics Hall of Fame member, and Cirque artist. I'm also an advocate for rain. On each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, I discuss acro handstanding in terms of training tips, coaching, and I explore circus and acrobatic gymnastics competitive life as I have lived it from past to current, and I theorize on what the future may bring in these fields. On each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, I will bring you insight through my own experiences, which are rooted in a perspective built on social justice advocacy and how these important issues continue to intersect between the circus arts and acrobatics competitive world at large. On each episode, I have the pleasure of discussing these various narratives with a variety of fascinating special guests. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. Please make sure to check out the circuspreneurblog.com for extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. Check out Circo.co, a new circus school online international platform where you can learn hand balancing with me and learn so many other circus disciplines from trained Cirque performers from all over the world. Join the Live Like an Acrobat podcast on Patreon. Become a patron. Enjoy early episode releases of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast and stay tuned for more exclusive content to come in the future as the community grows. Help me, your host, Shenea Stiletto, to keep bringing you the creatively innovative episodes that you've grown to love by signing up at www.patreon.com/Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I hope to see you on Patreon, and thank you so much for your support of the podcast. It's my intention that the Live Like an Acrobat podcast will make a lasting positive impact on the circus arts world, performing arts world, creative entrepreneurship world, and acrobatic gymnastics competitive world at large. And if you are looking to support a good cause while enjoying the incredible works of some very talented acrobats, Zip Zap Circus is premiering its new acrobatic art film, Moya, Friday, April 23rd until April 25th. Tickets are on sale now, and the link can be found in the bio of Zip Zap Circus on Instagram. This extraordinary short acrobatic art film is rooted in South African culture seen through the lens of their youth. This is their professional performing wing at its finest, exploring collective acrobatic work, African dance, gumboots, pantsula, and traditional circus disciplines. Proceeds will fund Zip Zap Circus's free youth and outreach programs, positively impacting the lives of 2,000 youth at risk every year and empowering them through circus arts. On this episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, I have the absolute honor of interviewing the founder of Shine Alternative Fitness, the legendary hand balancer, Dima Shine. Dima Shine is a former acrobatic gymnastics world champion with over 25 gold medals in various competitions. He was the gold medal winner at the 28th International Circus Festival, Cirque du Demain in Paris. He won the gold medal at the 9th International Circus Festival de Latina, the gold medal and Prix du Public at the International Circus Festival du Grenoble, France. He won the silver medal at the International Circus Festival in Budapest, Hungary, the gold medal at the International Circus Festival in Demain, France. Dima Shine has appeared in TV shows and commercials such as the Kiev Star billboard in Kiev, Ukraine. He was the winner of Minute of Glory in Russia, which is similar to America's Got Talent. He has appeared in stars in Der Ménage in Germany, in Le Plus Grand Cabaret du Monde, which is a TV show in France, and Dima was featured on the cover of the Cirque du Soleil celebrating its 30 years. Dima has worked in varietés such as the GOP in Germany, the Palazzo Dinner Variety in Germany, the Crystal Palace, the Tigre Palace, and Belle Fou in Germany. Dima Shine was also a featured artist with Circus Phoenix at the Carré Royal Theatre in the Netherlands and at the White Horse Dinner Show in Belgium. Dima has also appeared in conferences such as the FIFA conference. He was a premiere artist at the 400th anniversary of Quebec by Cirque du Soleil, and he was a featured performer in One Drop by Cirque du Soleil in Las Vegas. Dima Shine also appeared in Cirque du Soleil's production of Banana Spiel, which was featured on Broadway in New York. Please welcome to the show my very accomplished guest, the Dima Shine. My conversation with Dima Shine, the founder of Shine Alternative Fitness, is like two old friends speaking with one another, like in the most beautiful, loveliest way. Like it's an interesting thing to speak to artists that I have had so many different paths cross with, like. You'll hear with me and Dima, we've known each other for a very long time, and it's a connection that sometimes really surprises people because they never would have thought that we knew each other beyond like the circus. And so it's a really lovely, special connection that I have with Dima and that I have with a lot of artists where we've known each other since we were little. And so I think that's a really fascinating thing. I think it's fascinating the people that come into your life, how they come into your life, how your paths continue to cross over a lifetime. You'll hear me and Dima speak about how we met and then the fact that we're speaking and knowing each other all these years later and all the different things that we have in common and the synchronicities with our careers and with our lives are just really very, very special. And I think it just reminds you of how small the world is, but how much kismet and how much, destiny there is in life, which Dima speaks to that a lot in this episode. That's very much where he comes from, and I'm like that too. And I think it's because we were raised by people that were like that, and that's also something really special. You'll hear so much synchronicity in how he and I speak and see life because we were raised within a certain ideology, within a certain paradigm of thought from when we were very, very young. And that's something that's influenced both of us in our lives, in our careers, and how we project our destinies and our desires and our successes into life and how we've crafted what we want to do in our lives. And I think that's a very special thing to have in common with someone where people think that you're from such different worlds, and then you can find out just how not different we are, and how many things, you have in common with other people from so many other fascinating places. And so I had such a fun time going back down memory lane with Dima, Mr. Dima Shine. And you'll hear us just laughing and joking with one another. And the sarcasm is epic and endless, as it should be. And it was just so beautiful to listen to Dima's journey. Again, you'll learn so much from Dima. He's such a communicator. He gets his words right, and he has such a really beautiful way to express all the different things that he's done in his life, like how he went from point A to point B to point C. Not every single person can really articulate their journey in ways that someone like Dima can, and that's such a teachable thing. There's a lot of, I think, aha moments in this episode with Dima where you can really learn for yourself. Some things can't be taught just through words, but they definitely can be inspired in different ways, and you'll get that through this episode. But I honestly feel like the way that Dima speaks, which is very similar again to our environment that we grew up when we were young, we were around people that were so incredibly brilliant and philosophical in their approaches to how they trained us and to how they cared for us and to how they helped us to project ourselves into our talents and our skill level. And so that's definitely something that Dima has now. You will hear in him the Buddha in Dima. as he sees himself going through, the different stages of his career and of his life, and so much more to go. So enjoy this masterclass, because that's what it is like speaking to someone like Dima Shine, who, really has delved into so many innovative things within like the circus world. And it's a privilege and a pleasure to listen to him not only speak about how he learned from people that were also very brilliant, because you're only as brilliant as the people that helped you that were brilliant. And if you understand that brilliance, in my opinion, and if you can explain that brilliance to other people, what was given to you, then you are also a very wise person. So this is a really, easy, I think, masterclass in flow from somebody like Dima Shine. And again, to show people that laid the groundwork for all the things, many of them that you see nowadays that just seem so normal, but you get to listen to somebody like Dima, who started off on his own and had these ideas. And of course, I wouldn't say completely alone, because Dima never excludes the people that helped him to get to where he is, which to me is even a very successful person. He doesn't ever feel like he needs to minimize any aspect of what somebody did to help him get to where he is. And that's ingrained in him too from when he was young, and I have that as well. I can't never not speak about the people that have helped me along the way, because that's also how I was raised, that, everybody around you helped to benefit you. So you'll learn a lot, again, in this episode from Dima. And for me, I think it's always really important, especially with having the history that I have in this business and from the competitive environments, is to really honor the people that really tried to be innovative before innovative thinking was a thing, and people that, have really gone fearlessly in a lot of ways into what they wanted to create before it was kind of the thing to do, because now there's so much that's built upon, people that came before. And, even though people like to think that certain things are original ideas, if you've been around long enough, which I think that's why history and all of the things that you're a part of, for me it's circus and it's the acrobatic gymnastics world, it's really important to know your history, because then you understand what you've really built upon. And there's so much usefulness in that, and to not ever negate those that were the first ones to get these inspired thoughts and turn them into new careers, and then inspire others around them to feel like they could do the same thing. So please enjoy my conversation with the lovely Dima Shine. Hi, Dima. Finally, I have you on the podcast. It's taken a really long time. You're so busy.
Hi, Shenea. Nice to hear you.
Thank you. Of course. It's my pleasure. How are you, Dima?
I'm just trying to come down after all this funny talks and laugh that we just had before the recording. I'm just trying to come down.
Yes, be normal. Just to let listeners know, me and Dima had a fabulous conversation before we started the podcast. And I was making him laugh really hard. So I'm glad that you're I was getting him prepared, everyone. I was doing the warm up, the massage.
Exactly. I'm super warm now. I think I need some time off.
You go take a little break, Dima, and then you come back to the podcast. Yeah, don't worry, we have time. I have all day. I've only been trying to get you onto the show since last year. So only since 2020.
The year just started, so it's been 2 months? Not a big deal.
You're busy. I mean, you were gone. You were in Russia. I'm going to ask you about that in just a second.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that I finally caught you. It's better late than never. But I think that you're just exactly right on time. There's no right or wrong time to do things. So it's really perfect.
Absolutely.
Yes. So if you missed the lead up to this episode, listeners, where I include the brilliance of Dima Shine, a few highlights of Dima's career are he is a legendary solo hand balancer, and he is so legend that his act is being copied endlessly all over the circus world. But there is no one like Dima. His prop is legendary. I actually had the creator of his prop. Well, can I reveal that? I think I already revealed it in an episode. Is Claudia Spax, and he was on.
Yeah, absolutely incredible guy. Genius in his field. Not only a unique artist, he is a legend himself, like unique artist, but absolutely genius in creating props and different stuff. You just like the way we created the prop is just. We draw a little picture in a napkin, and that was pretty much it. The guy created everything from scratch. So, yeah, absolute genius.
Wow, that's so cool. Well, I had him on my vlog series, Think Like an Acrobat, a couple of months ago. So it was really cool to get into the genius mind of Claudius and to see how he's a juggler and also a brilliant prop maker. And, he also made my stiletto, my stiletto prop. So I copied him from you. I took him from you. So thank you, Dima. Yes. I wanted somebody brilliant. So he's always very busy. So anybody out there that is looking for Claudius, he is in very high demand and always booked. But try your luck because he really is the best. And yeah, that's part of the reason why you are so stunning, Dima. And yes, I want to continue. Dima won the gold medal and People's Choice Award at the world famous circus festival, Mondial du Cirque du Demain in Paris. And that's really as good as it gets, you guys, listeners out there. Like, that's as high as you can go. And he was also featured in Cirque du Soleil Zumanity for 8 years, locking me out of my dream job.
Sorry.
Like the list,
it was fun,
the list goes on and on. Like, how do you feel about keeping me out of my dream job, Dima, for years? Because now it's closed. Now Zumanity's closed. You feel good?
I felt really good. It was a lot of fun. It was the funny thing. It was my favorite show ever. So working in your favorite show, it's the best because you're enjoying it every night. Like, people would come to me and ask, "What's your favorite show on the strip?" I'm like, Zumanity. So lived it for a little bit.
Well, you know what they always tell me? I would love to know what it's like to perform in your favorite show because, people see my stiletto hand balancing prop and they say, "Oh my God, you know where your show should be?" They're like, Zumanity. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but it's never going to happen because Dima Shine is there. So I didn't have any hope. Now I really don't have any hope because the show is closed. But yeah, I can't believe it's closed. Like, how did it feel for the show to close down, Dima? Like, how do you feel you were in it for so long?
Of course. A little sad seeing the show close, especially I have some friends working there as well. So them losing a job, it's a little bit sad and problematic, but life goes on, and it's part of our life knowing that the shows don't work forever, and some of them close, some of them open, and it's just it's artist life that you always transition to somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And you're going to continue to transition into amazing things because you shine that way, because you are Dima Shine. And so I mean, when you started Zumanity, like, how was your transition into Zumanity actually too? Because I mean, like, you were there for quite a while, and how was that? Like, how was the creation for Zumanity when you did it? And what else do you love about Zumanity? Because I could tell you many things of why I loved it. And I have to say also too, I could have done Zumanity, I could have done the fishbowl. I was offered to do that. But I didn't have like the availability, so that's why I never ended up doing the fishbowl, the water bowl. I guess you could also call it fishbowl, but it's actually called the water bowl. So excuse me. So I could have, just not in the exact way that I really wanted to do it. But yeah, a little bit more about Zumanity because, it's so iconic and, it was the first like full on like sexy show. And I saw you once in Zumanity. So at least I got to see you at least once doing it before it closed down. I mean, like I said, you were there forever. So if I hadn't seen it, I think it would have been a crime had I not got to see you live. So I'm really glad that I got to see you live in Zumanity. Yeah.
Okay, so what was the question? Because you asked me like 10 questions. And I'm trying to figure out where to start.
How was the creation? How was the creation for Zumanity? And why did you love Zumanity?
The creation, so let's go far away. I wasn't an original. The show created in 2000. I think they premiered in 2004, right?
Yeah, it was a while. It was a bit before you started.
Yeah,
it was a while.
And I joined them at the end of 2010, so 7 years later. But the funny thing was that in 2003, the show was in creation in Montreal, and I finished my sports soccer career in 2002. And 2003, I got invited to Cirque du Soleil for general formation to try and get some contract for the show. So I was actually in Montreal when the Zumanity was in creation. I was 17 years old. I was preparing to be a flyer in Bankin Act in Kidam, and this famous Bankin Act.
Oh yes!
I was training for it, and I saw a little bits of Zumanity, of artists who was involved in the creation, of a little bit of it was behind the closed doors, of course, because it's an erotic show and it also was the newest show, Cirque du Soleil. So it was behind the closed door, but you can notice some little things here and there. And I was actually really intrigued and really interested to be in the show, and I was dreaming to be in the show. But at that time, I was 17 and like looking at those huge, beautiful, strong, muscly guys and beautiful, sexy, great, like just incredibly looking women. I was just looking in the mirror at myself at 17 years old, and I was like, yep, keep dreaming. So there was absolutely no way I could join that cast. And I was just
stop. You were fabulous.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I look like a kid. And then, so that was 2003. And then we fast forward 7 years, and on October 2010, I was laying down in Toronto with the contract of Zumanity in front of me on my bed, just about to sign. So I took a picture and I posted on I think on Facebook for my friends to see, because some of them know my story. And when they saw that picture, they were like, sign, 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 sign.
Was there anyone that told you not to sign? Was there anyone that was like,
I don't think so. I wasn't reading comments much, but I was just like, it was just a interesting way of life, how it goes. You were dreaming like 2003 and 2010, the contract was in front of my face, just ready to be signed, It was an incredible feeling.
Almost by magic. Like, so it's before you did Zumanity, like you were training for Kidam. Again, my other favorite show. Like, I was going to do Kidam, but I couldn't do it because they didn't have enough availability. And I was always very sad because, I really wanted to do the hand balancing in Kidam. I would have done the bankin also too in Kidam, but I was never going to do it, but I would have loved to have done that too. Because, of course I remember Oleg and Tatiana. I mean, just brilliant. So you didn't end up doing, did you end up doing Kidam for a little bit, or you didn't do it at all?
No, I didn't. I did the first general formation. And one of the artists didn't want to sign the contract, so there was a spot for me. But then, just before my general formation finished, the artist signed the contract, so I had no place going in Kidam, and I had to come back home. That's it. The first time didn't work well.
How funny. That's so crazy. Well, I mean,
it wasn't funny at that time. At that time, I was like, oh man, okay, I'm done with that company.
I know. Like at the time, you were probably like, seriously,
Absolutely.
and because you're so incredible and so amazing. So the thought, I just want to remind people out there, like, yes, things don't even work out sometimes for like the most incredible acrobats because Dima's incredible, and just because that little like politic or whatever ended up happening. But a lot of stuff happens like that. Like there's a lot of stories out there, like people were going to come into a show the very last minute, the other person changed their mind, and then that person didn't do it. Like I know so many people that were like, how were you? Okay, well, anyway. But I think like you probably maybe wouldn't have started like your solo act though if you would have gotten Kidam, right?
The funny thing is that when I didn't get the contract, it was like one of the last days. I was so sad, and they had the like going away party for all the artists, and who didn't get the contracts, and that was me as well. And we were sitting with some other guy from Russia, also like preparing for Bankin. And we were talking, and the guy, like, I was so sad, and the guy told me, everything happens for better. And I'm like, I understand all these big, deep words and all that stuff. Yes. But how is this possible? Can be for better, like, how is that even possible to be better? Like, there's no way. I didn't get what I wanted. Done. And then, many years after, you're like, oh, actually, that was correct.
I mean, like, after you won, like, Cirque du Soleil, you were like, you know what? He had a point.
He had a point, exactly.
He had a point. You're like, I won the best circus festival in the world. I think I'm good. But yeah, at the time, I mean, also too, like, I was really disappointed when Kidam closed officially, because then I saw like, I'm never going to be able to do Kidam, like I really wanted to do hand balancing there. So I was really sad when that show closed down, because I got to do Verikai, and I think at least I got to do Verikai.
Verikai is a great show,
Yeah, it's my other favorite show, but Kidam and Verikai were like my favorite shows, and then like Zumanity. But like I wanted to do both, and like, I mean, I'm not going to be greedy. I know. It's like, Shenea, just be grateful you got to do one. I know.
I want you to do both, and preferably at the same time.
I wanted them to make it happen and work for me, and like, I don't know, like calm down. But when it did close though, I was like, oh, okay. Like,
I know, it's always sad when
you have to,
shows are closing and stuff.
You have to like check that like off of your box like forever. But who knows? Yeah. Like maybe they'll bring it back like they brought back Alegria.
Absolutely.
Could happen. So I wanted listeners to know also too, you were gone when I was trying to get you on the show previously, and you were in Russia like not that long ago, right? And so were you working there, or were you just there to visit family? And what's the situation like in Russia, like for the pandemic? So why were you there?
No, I just on vacation. When the pandemic started, everything closed. We had to close the studio for 2.5 months, so everything was like on pause. And then we reopened the studio in June, and then there was a lot of work to get it going again. And then my business partner went on vacation in August, and then he came back, and I was like, I mean, I haven't been at home for a long time since I'm like, I don't know, for the last probably 15 years. And that was the opportunity because my business partner could take care of the operational part of the business, and I didn't have any shows, so I potentially could have some free time to go home. So I decided just to take 2.5 months and just took one-way ticket back home to Russia to visit my parents, family, friends, and then see how things going from there and just come back. I was planning to go between 1.5 months, 2.5, so I just stayed a little longer and came back to Vegas. So just little long vacation with my family and friends.
Oh, that's nice. And like, was the situation like, okay, they're like, what's your home city, Dima, in Russia?
It's Kubinka. It's about.
So it is Kubinka. So that is your home city. Because I was just about to tell everybody about Kubinka, but I forget that is your actual home city. Yeah.
This is my actual home city. Yes, it's about 65 kilometers out of Moscow. It's about 40 miles out of Moscow.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that's my place. That's where I was born. And the pandemic, it's a little bit less restrictions than here.
Mm-hmm.
At the moment, especially now when they're doing vaccination, all that stuff. My parents just called me today and they said that almost all the restrictions are gone, so it's easing off. But here also easing off slowly. So hopefully, all this nightmare will pass.
Is there a circus?
I mean, it definitely will.
What did you say? Say it again.
It definitely will pass, but yeah, hopefully it's going to happen sooner.
Yeah, sooner. I know, sooner than later. Is there a circus? Were there shows happening in Russia? Did you go around and see any shows, or are they all shut down?
I had that. It's like come and go. I have a friend. He's a producer of a couple shows in Moscow, and they were working like 2-3 times out of the week, and then someone got COVID, and then they had to stop for 2 weeks, and then they reopened. So it's like it was tough. It wasn't like open that you could just go and see any shows, of course. But some of the shows, like I think some of the circuses reopened a couple months ago.
Oh, wow. Okay, well that's good.
Mm-hmm.
That gives us hope.
Absolutely.
I'm glad things are moving forward in Russia. Thank God. Thank God they're moving forward just everywhere, like in general. But yeah, I was very
I
curious.
think it'll ease off a little bit.
Yes. Ever so slightly, it's coming back. Well, yes. So I wanted to let listeners know that you and I go way back to being little acrobats, and we were first together in Kubinka. In Russia. Yep. And, that was special, Dima, because that's where I also met my coach, Yuri, for the first time.
Yeah.
And he wasn't my coach yet, obviously, but it was a training camp for my first world championships, and we were really young. And then, it was crazy because then after that, Yuri moved to America, and then he became my coach. But at the time, I couldn't have known that. And then I was just there and then seeing you, obviously, training. But anyway, you were the flyer for a men's 4 back then in acrobatic gymnastics, and we were both flyers. And I remember all of your crazy skills at the time, all of the flips. And listeners, Dima was, of course, incredible way back then, naturally. Like, what do you remember? What do you remember, Dima, about that time?
Oh my, about sport, everything. I remember it was a tough time, huh?
That was a hard time.
It was a hard time, but it was interesting. That's the time where the character builds up and strengthens up, and when you become mature, I would say. Even in a young age, you become mature because there is so much responsibility and there's so much things you have to do and overcome, and stress and fear and pain and tiredness and everything. So you just build up your character to be strong and to move in life,
Oh, yes. Well, I mean, that was kind of, the training there is like on a different level. I mean, I ended up getting that like close enough when, when Yuri left and, when he came, and like, do you remember when Yuri left? Like when he left Russia and like he came to America at all, or like?
Yeah, I remember. He went to Miami, right? Or somewhere there, no?
No. In California.
Oh, in California. Okay. Well,
yeah, in California.
For me, at that time was the same thing. I didn't know.
I was going to say, I was like, everybody either moves to Florida or they move
exactly.
to
it was
California.
Somewhere there.
Like either place. I mean, he could have done Florida. If it wouldn't have been California, he would have moved to some gym probably in Florida. Like it's pretty much the same. But yeah, I mean, you were you had many awards, obviously, as a competitor. Like, I loved competing. What do you remember also too about like competing like way back then? I mean, because you're a champion, as competing at such a high level. Like, can you just say like a little bit more about like the training at that time? Because like for the audience, like witnessing that training and like, training in Russia and going there when I was little and, seeing all of that. I mean, it's really into like a different world. Like it's very specific. And even for like that time, like it's even different now than it was back then. To me, it was
but professional sport, yeah, the professional sport is not something. It's not a hobby. It's not something you do on your free time. No, 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 no. Professional sport is your life. Is your life. It's like when I did acro sport, I literally thought that I was born to do this. I was created. I was brought to this earth to do acro sport. That's why I was born. And for me, you're living with it. Like you live all your life through it. You put the acro sport through your veins, through your mind, through everything. You dream with it. You train with it. You eat with it. Everything is about the sport. So it's not something you do on the side. It's everything else you do on the side, and then the main thing of your life is sport. And we were training 6 days a week, usually 2, even 3 in summertime trainings a week. Oh, a day per day. So yeah, it was a tough time. There was a lot of energy put in, and thanks to coaches. You know my coaches, right? Gurgenidze Vladimir, who passed away 3 years ago, 2.5, and Larissa Borisovna, his wife.
Yes.
So they were coaching me pretty much as at first individually, because I was in school, and my school was starting at 1:45 p.m. going to 6 p.m. and their training was at 4 p.m. usually. So him and his wife would come in the morning at 10 a.m. every day just to train with me, because they saw the potential, and then that's how it started. So it was a lot of work and heart and love put into kids, and in me as well. And of course, you understand it when you train, but when you get older, it's just you see how life. It's interesting how life works, how life bring people into your life that help you with nothing asking in return. They just help you because they're just people like that. They're great people. Mm-hmm. And it's just, I can say I'm super lucky in my life towards people. I meet just incredible people in my life. So that's probably the biggest part of my life that's helped me to go to levels and to do things what I did. It's just people around me.
I love Lolly. Like, she worked with us a little bit before World. Yeah. Like, I was so, super, super, super lucky. Like, she changed a bit of our routine for that World. So when I was in a trio, so I was competing with my sister, and so there was the 3 girls, and you were again in the men's 4. But oh my gosh, like, just Lolly was so amazing.
Yeah, Lolly is
so incredible.
I mean, the whole family. Look at the kids now.
I know Gurgenidze. I mean, I competed against their son, of course. I know.
Absolutely. The Ravas, what, like 9 or 11 world champion or something like that?
Yeah.
It's incredible. The younger one, Timur, he is head coach now in Russia for a sports acro team. So it's just the Vladimir Robertovich, Vovomas, and Lali, their dream and vision continue lives on in the kids. The kids absolutely continuing their vision, and they're doing it with just incredible results. Like, look at this athletes that come out from that school. It's just incredible. Yeah.
Is Lolly is she still choreographing, or?
Yeah, she still does it.
She's still going after all these years.
Every day she's the choreographing, working with the kids. It's just incredible how much energy that woman has and how much love she has for other people. It's just insane.
Oh my God. We could feel it. Again, like, that's like, I don't know. There's some qualities for me where I just feel like it's like once in a lifetime, really. Like, feeling like her energy and the level of expertise and the level of specification that she had, like,
absolutely,
being with her. Oh my gosh. There's,
imagine I grew up in that family.
I know, but again, that goes back to like how you became who you became because you're lucky. Exactly. Because you're lucky.
I grew up in that family. For me, Gurgenidze, it's my other family. it's not like friends or colleagues or something. No, it's my other family. Because I grew up in that family. Like Wow Mas was like a parent for me as well. So, and Lali as well. So it's just, it's incredible. I mean, it's just great to have a memory of Wow Mas and to still communicate with Lali Mas. Like every time I go home, like I've been 2.5 months at home, and pretty much every week I would come to, not every week, like several times a week, I would come to the gym to say hi to Lali Mas, and we would talk and we would smile and we would joke and laugh and train and everything.
Oh my gosh, that is so special. Like, oh yes, I don't feel, I have just beautiful memories of her, and I'm going to tell my sister about like what you're saying, that she's still going. My sister's going to be so happy.
Absolutely.
to hear about them. But yes, I know that your family, it's like the same with Yuri for me. Like these, like I tell people, there's a certain kind of people that we had in our lives that really, I don't know if people really understand how to give themselves the way that they gave themselves to us when we were little. Like just giving you just everything from your life, like all of their energy, all of their time, like even when they had nothing, giving you the possibility to have the best. Yuri would always say that he's like, it costs me everything. He's like, but I can't help it. I have to make you as good as I possibly can. He's like, it's really hard. And, even when he left and he was in America, he's like, I'm up against so much here. He's like, but I can't not just give you everything that I have. It's like, I don't know. For me, it's like such a traditional thing. And, I just feel like it's a very special way that we got training, and I'm like really grateful for that too. And the cool thing is, Dima, is that the first time I saw your hand balancing act when you went professional, obviously afterwards, it was my coach, it was Yuri, who showed it to me. And yeah. And I know we have so much connection through him. It was really funny.
Yeah.
Like we do. We have so much connection through him. And he was like, he told me when he showed me, he was like, do you remember Dima from Kavinka Shenea? and I was like, yeah. And he was like, he's a star now in Circus. Wow. He was like, he's a star. And it was really sweet. And I was watching your act and I was like, wow. And listeners, again, Dima's act was the beginning of a new era of innovation in Circus. It was just brilliant with the light, with the way you moved. And, I was in my duo back then, so I had to wait a long time to try to perform like solo hand balancing, but I was incredibly inspired back then. And but you should have seen Dima, like how Yuri loved you. Like he, like Yuri is so brilliant. He's so specific. And so like when he's excited about an artist, like, the artist is the best because he only shows me like quality acts and acrobats like my whole life. And he'll show it to you again and again and again. And, and he showed us your video so many times.
Wow.
He was like, he's like, he's like a gold winner. And he was so impressed and like so proud of your act and everything that you created and everything. And so it was like really wild to see you like after like all that time, and then all of a sudden you were there. So what was it like making the transition from a competitor to an artist, Dima? And like how did you manage the creation of your act? And and can you tell us the process of winning Cirque du Demain? I never wanted to go to Cirque du Demain. I could have gone before, but because we had such hard competition, like me and my first partner Arthur, like we really like didn't really want to do like a lot of like circus competition because it was just hard. It was so hard. But, obviously, like, I'm glad that you did it. And it's not that I don't love the competition, but I think it changed us. Like, whenever anybody offered us to go to any of the bigger competitions for circus, we were always like, no, like, we don't want to do the politics. Like, we just kind of want to relax and, just do our job and everything. But anyway, sometimes people think like I just didn't even know like what like Cirque du Soleil was, or I didn't know like any of the circus festivals. And I always tell them like, no, it's not that. It's just that we were just so like tired to compete, and that we didn't want to like even do it in Circus. But anyway,
Yeah, competition is stressful,
Yeah, it's hard. It's super stressful. Exactly. Like it's not. I mean, it's crazy making when you're like competing like that. It's not easy. But what was it like competing on that circus level, Dima? Because that was like the beginning of your everything.
Okay, so let's start far away again. So basically, when I finished my sport career and I got to Cirque du Soleil for my general formation, the first one, preparing for Kidam, even in sport, I always were looking at the gymnastics because the athletes, they would compete and perform just by themselves. It was one person, you could be responsible for yourself, and I always liked that because in a men's team, where there's like more than one people involved, there's always other things involved, like somebody don't train as hard, or somebody's slacking, or somebody did a mistake or something, and it reflects on your performance as well. So I always wanted to perform by myself. I was curious, and when I got to Cirque du Soleil, there was about 20 people in an act, and I was the youngest one. I was 17. The smallest one, nobody listened to me, nobody paid attention to me, nobody really asked my opinion, and I didn't like that. And I wanted so people talk to me when they talk about the act or something. So I was looking, and I realized that I need to create my solo act, but I didn't know what to do because I didn't know which kind of act. And I started to look, okay, what can I do? And I figured out, okay, I can do handstands a little bit, not much, but still enough to create something if I train. And I started to train my act back then, like just different tricks. And Alexander Pihienko, you know this guy, right?
Kind of. A little bit.
Yeah, great guy as well. He showed me, I remember there was a group of artists around, and he showed us a video of Anatoly Zalewski, of his act in Monte Carlo. And then after we watched the act, there was like seeing Michael Jackson in pop culture, like same Anatoly is the same legend in Circus. So seeing his act, everyone was so impressed. I was so impressed. I was just like, wow, that's just crazy. It's just impossible. It's so beautiful. And I got really inspired, and I was training, blah, blah. But the funny thing is, okay, so I'm trying not to jump too much because everything is kind of connected, So now I'll just fast forward. Now we are very good friends with Anatoly. When I went to Russia for 2.5 months, I also went to Ukraine. Victor Key, he's my friend and also the guy who helped me in Circus. He was celebrating 50th birthday at Anatoly's place in Berdichev. It's about 120 miles from Kiev, from capital of Ukraine. And I went there to celebrate with them, and Anatoly was there. So we hang out together because we're friends now. And it's just incredible to see how it went from seeing that guy on TV and being just inspired and admired by perfection. And now you can call anytime and you just, smoke hookah together, and we go out and we make barbecue and talk about life and everything. So it's just incredible.
Make us jealous, Dima. Keep talking. What else do you do with Zalewski? What else do you do with Victor? Keep it going. You taking the boat out? You fishing? Doing massage together? Sauna? What else?
I think we did massage somewhere.
The spa?
We're included in podcast. Sauna many times. Me, Victor, Anatoly, lots of other friends. We went to sauna many times when I was in Ukraine. That's for sure.
I bet you did. No, I saw Victor. Because I'm doing Circo with Victor and with Aurelia. So they were doing a nice show there that they were shooting in Berdichev. It was really nice. It was like a virtual show. Did you see it, or like what were they doing it when you were there?
Virtual show of what?
It's a circus show. It's a full circus show, like in the theater, virtual.
Yeah, but was it Wish, the latest one that they created, or it was on his birthday?
I think it was the most recent one. I know that there was the other one on his birthday.
Yeah.
But I think this one was also Wish. I think it was the most recent one.
Okay, then if it's a Wish, they just created it, but I left already by that time. But they were discussing ideas when I was there, but they just created this one. But yeah, they also created a show on his birthday to celebrate, so that was fun.
I missed that. I heard about that, but I missed that one. But we celebrated through email.
Yeah, so coming back to that, Victor, there's another person in my life, just like Urgin is a family. So when I started to train on my first general formation Montreal hand balancing act, I was like training every day and everything, put a lot of hope and energy to it. And then when I didn't get the contract for Kidam, I was so sad, so I stopped doing everything. And then I knew that I was coming back to second general formation. They mentioned that. And I didn't do much in between. I stopped training hand balancing and everything. I dropped the idea and I just, was waiting for another formation. And second time I came to train for Russian bar for Alegria.
Ooh.
Absolutely.
Good
reaction.
I trained Russian bar too. No.
Yeah, exactly.
Oof.
Exactly.
Bloody ankles.
I was training for that, and actually I did pretty well. And again, second time when I got to Montreal, I was like, okay, I want to have my act. So I started to train hand balancing again every day, before the trainings, after the trainings, and then second time. Usually, when you come second time to general formation, they like you most likely to get a contract. But again, same thing happened. There was no contract, and I didn't get anything. And about a couple days before I would have to fly home, I already had my baggage packed at the door. I already had a ticket for the taxi. I already had a ticket for the plane, everything ready to go home. And a couple days before I had to leave, a woman who usually gives contracts at Cirque du Soleil, she came to me and she's like, oh, blah, blah. We don't have a contract for Russian bar, the one that you were preparing, but there's an artist in Dralion show that he got injured, Chinese guy, and then we would like to see if you would be able to go and take his spot for some time, for half a year. And I'm like, yeah, why not? Let's try. So this way I went to Dralion. That's where I met Victor. And since my second general formation, I was training all the time my hand balancing act already. And then I met Victor, and then he was training sometimes. I was training sometimes. We started to, because he's Ukrainian, I'm Russian, we speak the same language. We were talking, discussing things. And there's a Boris Verkhovsky in Montreal.
Of course.
Exactly. So when I was going to Dralion, Boris told me that there's a Ukrainian guy. He's just incredible artist, blah, blah, blah. Also, he's a great guy. If you need any help, just talk to him. He is just incredible. Da-da-da. So that's how it started. And then when I got there, I met Victor, and we started to hang out, and we started to spend more time together. And I was trying to, like a sponge, to absorb all the information he was sharing, because the guy is really incredible. And as you can see, like the people I meet on my life path bring my life to your next level just because of them. Because when I met Victor, of course, I was like, how can you I got the question in my head. I was like, are you born so smart, or you develop yourself to be so smart? Like, I couldn't figure out, because it was like, the guy is just incredible. Victor, yeah, there's another legend. And yeah, and I tried to spend as much time with him as I could, and he had my contract at Dralion was only half a year because every 2 years the Chinese troop would exchange themselves. So the guy who got injured, they had left only half a year with that troop, so they didn't want to bring another guy, so they just wanted me to replace him for half a year. Then they would exchange the whole troop, and I was like, okay, so I stayed there half a year, and I was training my act. We were hanging out with Victor, and I heard that Victor had another student there, Chinese guy. He was juggling, practicing juggling and everything, and he was teaching him a little bit. And at some point, I heard them talking about circus school in Ukraine, in Kiev, where Victor from. He was training there, and I asked Victor about the circus school. He told me a little bit, and then I started to really ask myself what I want to do next, because my contract was finishing in several months, and you know how Cirque du Soleil works. They offer you, if they need an artist, they offer you a contract, and then it's up to you. You want to take it, you want to drop it, whatever you want, but that's what they need, right? And they, like, couple months before my contract finished, maybe like a month before, they called me, Boris, and they offered me 3 different contracts to choose from. But the positions were Kidam, Bankin Act, Allegria, Russian bar, or Varikai, Russian swing. All those 3 acts are just insane.
They're
you know what I
ridiculous.
mean, right?
You wouldn't have survived, basically. Like we wouldn't be here talking if you took any of those contracts.
So
me neither. I say no.
Those 3 positions, and I was like, whew.
You're like, I'm not gonna be able to walk ever again. I'm not gonna be able to do circus ever again. Where do I sign?
Exactly. So you know how I felt.
It's like when they offered me to do to do the water banking. It was, oh my goodness.
Yeah. Exactly. So you were like, you want to like be in the company doing the shows, but
not like that.
but also, but also I had to decide, like, do I want to continue just going to work in the show, or I want to create my solo act? And I was more and more leaning towards my solo act, but it was kind of scary because, usually people go to circus school and then they go to Cirque du Soleil, and then like it's beautiful. I had a different path. I went to Cirque du Soleil, and then I decided to create my act. So I had to decide what I'm going to do, and I refused those 3 options. And Boris even jokes until today. He jokes in Montreal about this, that I refused 3 contracts with Cirque du Soleil, and I decided to not resign the contracts and just go to Kiev Circus School. So basically, I went to Cirque du Soleil, and then I quit Cirque du Soleil to go to Circus School.
Wow. That's so funny because it's so counter to what most people do, or like what their path is. Like, nobody would have expected you to do that. I mean,
it wasn't easy. It was tough. It was like closing your eyes and stepping into the dark and not knowing what's gonna happen. I'm not gonna lie. I was really stressed. I was really worried, and I remember we were driving with Victor in the car, and I told him, like, he already had some idea for my act, and we were like discussing stuff. And I remember I told him that I'm full of energy. I'm like, I want to do it and everything. I'm just afraid I'm not gonna be able to do that. Like, the ideas were like so big, and we're trying to create something new, that I wasn't like sure that I actually physically can do that. Like, I was, so it was scary. That was tough. I was, it wasn't an easy decision, but it's like leap of faith. You just close your eyes and go in the dark, and then see what happens. And then I quit, and then I went to Kiev Circus School, and Victor introduced me to Postnikov family there, Yuri Ivanovich and Natalia Alexandrovna, and they were my coaches in circus. So basically, generally speaking, I have 3 more families. I have just so you see, like the people matter, right? I have my own family. Then I have my sport family that raised me in sport. Then I have Victor, who helped me to guide me everything, and then he became my manager in circus, and he made sure that I get good treatment and good contracts, and I wasn't undervalued or everything, and he promoted and everything. So basically, oh, most of my success in circus is because of that guy, and the third family is my circus family. We are Yuri Ivanovich and Natalia Alexandrovna, who is my coach, particularly in hand balancing. They did just as much as everyone else. They just put their heart into me. So, yeah.
you had some magical people putting their heart into you, even with your leap of faith. I mean, you were leaping with some like really incredible people like doing that. And
absolutely, yes.
Like to remind people, Victor Key is like the contact juggling legend. If you
absolutely,
I almost feel like we don't even need to go and say as much as who he is. But if you do not know who Victor Key is, please Google him. And then you will see
Victor Key is an artist.
The brilliance.
Like, for me, this is a real artist that lives, that dreams, that breathes, that everything he is about art.
It's so beautiful. Like, just
it's incredible.
Beautiful.
Me, I'm more like, here and there. Not as concentrated and I'm more like a business person. I like to figure out opportunities, do different things. I like to risk. I like to do this and that. I like more like flying around. I'm not as organized as Victor, but Victor, he's, and I would say lots of my successes, of course, my coaches and people who put so much heart in me, I couldn't just not to do stuff, but it's just there's so much love put inside of me from those people that is just I'm just like a passenger, just like hanging out in life and seeing all the incredible things happening.
Well, a little bit less than a passenger. I mean, you had to do a little bit of work. So you did a little bit of work, and everybody did everything else, and so you're welcome. They're basically like, you're welcome. Thanks. Yeah, you have such a amazing path. I mean, the people that eventually created helped you to create all of that and saw that in you. And obviously every part just works together. I think it's always really important to like be grateful and give thanks for the people that got you to where you are, because some people think like people did things on their own or did it by themselves. And it's like, no, like there was a lot of people brainstorming and bringing a lot of their brilliance and then creating like your brilliance and bringing it all out of you because they saw just how brilliant you could be. So okay, so you have the act, and then you go and, you go to Cirque du Soleil. Like, how did you decide that? Like, so how did they navigate that for you? To like, because you could have just gone into shows, but you did like do like
when I was practicing Cirque du Soleil, like to go to Circus in Kiev, I had a dream. I had another dream is two dreams actually. The big one was I wanted to leave Cirque du Soleil, created my own act, and then come back to Cirque du Soleil, but already as a solo act. So that was pretty hard because, like, when you leave is easy, but to make someone want to invite you and to have you in the show, I mean, it's pretty hard. How you making someone want you to be in the show? Like, so
hard.
that thing, and then another thing was when I started to dive deeper into circus, I started to figure out there's like different festivals and everything, and then I heard about Cirque du Demain, and that was actually so. I'm leaving Cirque du Soleil. We finished in London the contract, and then Victor, I had to fly back home, and Victor's like, I want to go to Paris because his girlfriend lived in Paris. And then I'm just going to visit her for a couple of days. And then I'm going to take a car in Paris, and I'm going to drive to Germany. There's lots of shows, lots of people I want to see, meet. And you want to go with me on the ride? I'm like, absolutely. So we took a train from London to Paris. And then I met Andrei Koltsov there, another great hand balancer. That's the guy I was talking to you. He's a producer of different shows in Moscow now. I met him in Paris. We were hanging out, and then Victor took the car and we went to Germany. We drove around the Germany all around. And then, before the Germany, while we were in Paris those couple days, there was a Cirque du Soleil festival. So we went to see the Cirque du Soleil festival, and Anatoly Zalevsky was giving some present to some of the artists. So Victor brought me backstage after the show, and he introduced me to Anatoly. So that's how I met Anatoly in 2005. Yeah, so everything you see is connected. And then we went to Germany, spent great time, and then from Germany I got back home and I went to Kiev to train. And I wanted to go to Kiev for half a year, but when I started to train, I realized I need more, so I spent there a year and a half with my coach Natalia Alexandrovna, and we were creating act. Victor was coming several times. We were like brainstorming what to do, and then when I finished Circus School, we created an act that we represented like at the Circus School final show. And then I flew to Germany. Victor was working at Jolly on that time, and in his hotel apartment, there was it was 2 stories, and like on the stairs between the stories, there was like a little square, maybe like 1.5 meters, not so much. And that's where we created the act. We just put my prop in there and we were rehearsing before the shows. After he would come after the shows, like at 12:30, 1 a.m., and we would train the act. And just keep in mind, Victor is a juggler, and I'm a hand balancer. So I understand everything, but you can juggle. You can do a trick 10 times, no problem. But for hand balancing, it's a little different. So
A little
when
bit.
Victor would come at 1 a.m. and say, okay, let's run the act 5 times, and do this trick 10 times, I'm like, I wanted to argue, explaining that this is a little bit challenging. But I like that because he was pushing me to, like, myself would be hard to push myself over those limits because, you have limits in the head thinking that it's actually hard physically. He didn't know that. So he would just illogically push you to the places where I wouldn't push myself. So that also helped. And we created the act. I did 1 month of Crystal Palace in Leipzig, the dinner show. That was my first contract. I did it for December. And then in January, I went to Cirque du Soleil. When I was in Circus School, I was living and breathing with Cirque du Soleil Festival. That was my goal. I wanted to win it. I wanted to be there, blah, blah. That was like my life goal at that moment. And and then what was 2006? 2005, 2006, 2007, right? Yeah, 2007. I went to Cirque du Soleil, and I know how, but I won it. Gold medal and prize of the public, so that was something incredible. That was an incredible feeling.
What a journey, like, to get you there.
Yeah, it was pretty tough.
I mean, it was very intentional too. Like, you knew like really what you wanted to do.
Yeah, I knew exactly what I want, how I want, when I want, and I was just training nonstop for that. I remember, like we would come with my friend Max Karakurin. He does slack wire and juggling. We would come like the circus school would open at 9 a.m. until 2 p.m. We would come at like 8:30 a.m. just to warm up before the circus school opens up. And then we would leave circus school at 2:30 p.m. when the security was screaming at us and cursing us because we were always late, the last ones. And yeah, when I was go to even though I had professional sport career before, I was questioning myself, how can you train 5 hours, like from 9 to 2? Like, what would you do there? And then we ended up training 6 hours in the morning. Then I would go home, eat, sleep because I was tired, and I would come back to actually to Anatoly Zalevsky's studio. He had a studio at the time in Kiev, and I would train a couple more hours there in the evening. So for me, Kiev was pretty much same as sports acro times. It was just training and sleeping, training and sleeping. It was like the structured day that you just concentrated on the results and trying to get the best of you as you can.
Yeah, I mean, you really have to give it everything if you're going to create something on that level. I mean, to create something new and as innovative as that was at that time, like, it has to be your whole life. Like, reminding everyone, like, it is, you live and breathe that for it to be something really spectacular. So, I mean, that took you into also, like, so many different paths. Like, I mean, after you did the festival, I mean, kind of take us into, like, what did that do for you? And, like, what was your experience like after that? You kind of just, I mean, you were a force basically after that. You could really just go and do anything you kind of wanted once you...
Oh, you're talking after Paris Festival?
Yeah, actually, yeah. You were like,
Actually, I was lost.
You were lost?
Yeah, the funny feeling was that I was living and breathing Cirque du Soleil so much that after the festival, I was lost. I didn't have that goal anymore. I didn't have that direction anymore. I had to enjoy the benefits of what I've done, like, till that moment, and Circus Festival and everything. I won like 5 different Circus festivals that year. I went to Latina, I went to Budapest, I went to Grenoble, like several other festivals. And also I went to Russia's Got Talent. I won that year as well. So, like, lots of other stuff. And I went on different festivals and competitions. And then when that passed, I just was working. I was working in different shows, and thanks to Victor, he had connections with all the biggest shows, and he would, of course, introduce me to everyone. And of course, everyone was at the Cirque du Soleil festival as well. So I had a lot of connections and a lot of interest in my act, and I got a lot of offers. So I was just traveling the world, doing different events, doing different shows, just working. But for me, it was a little bit weird moment because I kind of lost the direction, the goal that I had, because I was working so hard for it. And then I could just enjoy it, but it was hard for me to enjoy it because I want some other goal. So in 2008, I was just working. But for me, just working wasn't really like as exciting as preparing for something. So in 2008, when I was driving in Germany, I was thinking about what to do, blah, 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 blah. And I met one girl on the Facebook, Anastasia Skukhtorova. She is a world pole dance artist, pole fitness. So she's world champion. And we started to talk, and I realized that a lot of people in pole dance world know me and saw my act, probably because of my pole in the act. Mm-hmm. And I became very popular in there. And I was thinking, okay, that's great. What can I do with it? And I realized that since 15 years old, like 13 years old, I always wanted to create like business or something. And I was like, wow, why I don't open just a pole dance studio, So that's how the Shine came to life in my head at that time. That was far 2008. And when I got that idea, then it started all over again. I got motivation, I got the interest, I got the energy for it, and I started to work towards something, and I got kind of direction. And it's been since then.
Yeah, I mean, Shine Fitness is really amazing. It's your alternative fitness training gym, and you have it in Vegas. And you were like really one of the first artists to start their own Cirque Fit, like fitness gym.
Yeah.
Like, and now it's like everywhere. The concept is everywhere, but you were really like one of the first ones to do that because it didn't really exist the way it does now with Shine Fitness. And so, can you go into the concept for Shine Fitness? Obviously, like, I love the concept. You always have like the best trainers from like every circus discipline, and and it's also, it offers just like a lot of different things. So can you tell us, what does it offer? And then you have a business partner, obviously. How did you guys come together to decide to do that? Because I mean, you were launching it while you were in Zumanity at the same time.
Yeah.
So like, how did you do that?
Yeah. So the idea was, like in 2008, like when I figured out the idea, I was like, okay, I need to find a contract where I can work, make money, invest in the business, but also don't travel as much. And pretty much one of the only places was Cirque du Soleil for that, resident show, because any other shows, if you're freelancing, you're like here and there all the time. So there's no way you can build something up.
Before I continue my fabulous conversation with the Dima Shine, please enjoy this Think Like an Acrobat interlude. Check out my new vlog series, Think Like an Acrobat, which is available exclusively on Circus Talk as a pro series. It's offering pro tips to professionals within the circus arts industry. The latest episode of Think Like an Acrobat is Let's Work for Ourselves. How to be financially savvy with stage manager and broke girl rich financial blogger Melissa Bondar. Learn the pathway to achieve financial literacy and financial stability as a working creative. Melissa's approach is enlightening and confidence-inducing. And now, back to my conversation with the founder of Shine Alternative Fitness and a financial guru himself, Dima Shine.
That's when the Cirque du Soleil came back to mind, and we were in contact. They were interested. They asked me for one show before. It's called OVO. The first time with my solo act, but we didn't agree on the conditions. And then a year later, they asked me for Banana Spiel, which was on Broadway, their newest show on Broadway, and it was supposed to be a resident show on Broadway. So I agreed to that one, and I went to New York, and I spent there almost a year working on Broadway. But the rent prices in New York just insane. So of course the idea was on pause. And then,
I was supposed to do Banana Spiel. We would have actually worked together at one time. I was going to do Banana Spiel. Me and Arthur were supposed to do Banana Spiel, but they asked us for a 2-year contract, and we said no, only 1 year. So then they were upset, and so then they said, okay, no. We would have worked together in Banana Spiel.
Crazy, yeah.
Maybe. I don't know. Who knows? The concept maybe would have changed. I don't know. But anyway, please continue. But it closed. It didn't last as long as they thought it was going to last. They thought it was going to be this cool concept for Broadway, and it didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't work. And, it's many different reasons. It's Broadway. It's a new market, and it's so very well established already. So to welcome a new company on the Broadway that's going to disrupt the business, it's always not easy. So it was a tough call to go to Broadway with Cirque shows, but
they tried. It was a worthy try. I would have tried also.
Absolutely.
I think they'll be back. They'll try again.
And I had absolutely blast working on that show. Just so you know.
Oh, thanks, Dima. Rub it in. How else was it? It was great. Who else was there? Was Victor there? Was Anatoly there? Who else was there? Was Oleg and Tatiana there?
Absolutely a blast.
Who else was there that made it so amazing?
Me?
Besides yourself. The one-man show, Mr. Dima Shine.
Oh, there's a Kelsey.
The light unto himself. That's what you do. You glow.
Yeah. There's actually a lot of people in the show, and the artists were incredible. There was like such a great souls and such a great artist. It was there was just a lot of fun working in that show.
It sounds miserable.
Huh?
It
Yeah,
sounds like a
exactly.
terrible time. Yeah. I'm glad you got
Yeah,
out of that show. I really am. Yeah. Sounds awful. I'm glad I
yeah.
didn't do it.
And living in New York, two blocks, 3 blocks away from town, from Central Park, 15 minutes walk from Times Square.
Oh, I hate it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
So glad. Yeah.
absolutely disaster. Like having New York great restaurants and places around, and
Boring.
yeah,
Yeah.
and also like also the company. I don't know if you know Kelsey Jamison and Preston.
Of course. They took our spot. They gave them the contract because we didn't take it.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
met them
They're
there, and they're
lovely.
my good friend, and we had a great time together there as well. Because like we spent the year together in the show, and yeah, they're
She's in
great.
Dubai now, right? She's in Pearl,
I I think so. I think that
right?
Preston, he was a coach there or something like that. No.
No, I think she's just there. I thought she was just there
Yeah.
in Pearl. Anywho, yes, but they are lovely, lovely, lovely people. They're very
Yeah.
lovely people.
Absolutely. So yeah. So I after I went to Banana Spiel, and then it was for a year, and then when the show closed, I went to um, Zumanity, and then when I got to Vegas to Zumanity, I gave myself a little bit of time, like half a year, just to feel the city and then see if I want to open the studio here. And then I started to slowly get to know the city and figure out the place where I can rent this space, figure out the things about the licensing and permits and all that stuff and business plan and lots of stuff I started to work on. And of course, I had no experience in anything of that. And in Zumanity, we have a on the fourth floor. When you take elevator, go to the fourth floor. There's a coffee machine, and I didn't drink coffee machine before Zoo. I was 25. I didn't drink coffee before.
What?
Yeah, can you imagine?
No coffee? Are you Russian?
No. Yes, before 25. But then when I got to Zoo, I remember getting
What?
so tired, and we had coffee machine. And I was like, "Well, everybody say it gives you energy," so I drank it, and I got so much energy. I was having coffee before the first show, before the second show, like every day. And between the shows, when I was getting my coffee, there's offices, and there's a guy. There's a company manager, and there's a assistant company manager, the person who usually helps artists with the different questions, with like with all the little stuff when you get to the country that you don't know, and he just helps you around. And Ross, my business partner, he had that position, assistant company manager. And while I was having coffee, I would just come to his office and we would talk about things. I would ask him about dance classes, about acting classes, about other stuff. Da, 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 da. Then I would ask him about permits, licensing. And because he had done some different business within Cirque for lifestyle projects before, uh, so he had some experience in business. So I started to ask him more and more questions until I was taking the whole time before the first show, between the shows, whole of his time just to ask my questions. And then at some point, I was planning to another person to be my business partner, but it didn't work out. And by the time I was opening up, Ross already knew the whole spiel, and he seemed interested. So I asked him if he wanted to join me, and he said yes, and that's how we started to work together. So we opened up the studio in March 2012, and now it's over almost 9 years. Wow.
Yeah. 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 Almost. Well, yeah. Going to be 10 years, but yeah,
It's
like
gonna
nine
be
years. You've had it for
it's
9
gonna
years.
be 10 years. It's going to be 10 years in March, exactly.
Wow, that's a really long
Yeah.
time. Did you ever? This is a joke, but did you ever think about? Did you ever think about opening up a CrossFit studio, Dima, or were you always going to do
No, I didn't.
Circus? You didn't want to open up a CrossFit studio, no?
No, I wasn't thinking about CrossFit studio, but also I wasn't thinking about opening up a circus studio. So what Shine is
Because yours is
is
different. Yours is not a
yes,
circus studio. So please, let people know, because we
it's
keep
not
on
a
saying
circus.
alternative fitness. It's not a
The
circus
difference,
studio.
yeah,
Yeah.
the difference is it's not a professional circus studio where you come and you learn the skills and you create an act. No, it's a fitness studio.
Right.
It's just as same as anything else.
For regular
It's
people.
absolutely for regular people that is just different in an exercise setting. So there is no weight, there is no machines, everything with your own weight. And basically, when I trained for hand balancing, I do lots of movements that doesn't require any machines. It's just with your own body, but they're extremely effective and they keep you in shape and they bring you into a better shape. And it's fun. So that's what it's based on. Basically, like me personally, I don't like to run. It's not my favorite thing. But as a cardio, I understand it's great, but I just don't like to do it.
We're the
But on the
same.
other hand, I love playing soccer. And soccer, it's same, if not better than running, because you always accelerate, decelerate, you go down, you go up, you jump, you fall, you roll, you're always changing directions, you're always changing speed, you're always changing energy. Plus, you have a goal to kick the ball into this thing of another team. So you have a goal while you're running, and while you have a goal, you forget about all other stuff that you're tired or anything, because that's what you want to do. And I love this. You enjoy what you do. You disconnect your mind because you enjoy it, but you're running so much that it just brings you in shape. It's same thing. Anything you like to do, like dancing. People love dancing, and dancing, when you dance, it takes so much energy from you. So it's just, you can just get in shape by dancing, and that's exactly it. You choose the exercise that you like, and you just keep doing it, because fitness is hard. You don't just lose your weight and get in shape by getting some pill and do nothing. No, fitness is hard. It's hard, it's painful, you have to really work hard. But the thing is, the only way it's going to work if you're going to be consistent. But the only way you're going to be consistent is if you like it. So it's kind of we gather together group fitness classes that we believe that people will enjoy doing. They choose something for themselves, they're going to enjoy doing it, and they're going to keep doing it and get in better shape by doing it. Like, we have lots of flexibility classes. Everyone knows that they need to do cardio, they need to do strength, they need to do flexibility. Everyone does cardio and strength. No one does flexibility. Why? Because it's boring and painful. But if you make it fun, if you're going to make it in a group class, if you're going to present it the right way and try to keep people engaged, people will do it. And then as soon as they become more or less consistent, they'll see the results. But trust me, as soon as you see the results, you'll be hooked, because the energy that you put in to the exercise, the pain that you go through during the exercise, absolutely nothing with the benefits you get out of it. Like, people think that be in shape and have a great health, like physically by being in shape, is something impossible. It's super hard to do. No, it's not. It's easy. I just have to train like 3 times, 45 minutes a week, done. And it's not that much over time. People spend drinking coffee more, So it's just, but if you haven't been introduced to professional sport, to circus, to athletic life and lifestyle, you don't have those habits, and it feels that it's super hard, it's impossible. But once you get consistent and you create the right habits and you're going to keep doing it, like, you're going to enjoy it so much. You're going to have enjoyment in doing the exercise. You're going to miss doing those exercise. It's just, you get hooked, and it's a great thing to be hooked for your health.
Yeah, of course. How how have you changed the model like over the years? I mean, now it is 10 years. And so like, how have you like grown like the business, and how have you kind of like adapted to new things like along the way?
When you open up, you know nothing. You like, I had no experience, absolutely. And especially when we open up, we were the only studio like that in Vegas. There was no other studios like that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, when you introduce something new to people, a lot of time they become a little suspicious and they become a little scary. That's why we have to be very careful with using the word circus and circ workout and all that stuff into the vocabulary, because a regular public who never tried this kind of workout, it still looks like, you walk into the studio, we have the truss, we have the lighting, we have all these different apparatuses that you don't see in a regular gym, and people right away think it's a circus school, and it's not. But the way we were learning how to introduce it properly, correctly, so people don't get scared, because as soon as they hear the word circus, they think, oh, this is impossible, it's not for me. But it is actually possible. You know how many times per week I have calls, and when you talk to people about flexibility, people say, "Oh, I don't come to flexibility because I'm not flexible."
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, but that's exactly it.
That's the point.
That's why you come to flexibility, to become flexible. You don't come to flexibility to
be
just,
flexible.
You stretch before and then you come to flexibility. What's the point? That's exactly why you go to flexibility classes. But yeah, there's a funny way some people think about it. So yeah, it's just we try to bring as many classes to people as we think they're gonna like it, and it was a lot of hit and miss. We bring some classes people really like, some classes people didn't like, so we try to hear the response of the clientele and see what they like, what they don't like, try to adapt, try to different classes, try different instructors, seeing who people like, who they don't. It just was a lot of trials, to see what they're gonna like, what they're gonna respond to. But yeah, it's not easy. Business is hard, because especially like you know how much benefits it brings to people, but people there's a lot of lack of discipline, of knowledge, of habits, good habits for fitness and all that stuff, and a lot of complexes and low self-esteem, and people are scared, or they there's a lot of things that there's a lot of excuses that people find not to do it, thinking that this is easier. Yeah, maybe it's easier to lay on the couch, but trust me, I have much more fun if I'm training and feeling my body and living my life, instead of just
Exactly. It's always better to be doing something. And why not do it at Shine Fitness? But yeah, I mean, you were able really to translate that. And yeah, I mean, like, what else do you think is like the biggest challenge of running a business in that way, in running a studio? Like, how do you run your studio like daily? Like, what does the operations kind of like look like in running an alternative fitness studio?
First of all, of course, when you don't know the business, when you don't know how to run it, and especially when you bring something new idea to the public, you have to get it out there. So you have to spend a lot of money to get the idea out there. And when you haven't done it before, you don't know what outlets work best. You try to do your research as much as you can, but you have no idea because you haven't done it. And no one actually have done it in this field, because it's you bring in the new idea, the new perspective on fitness. So you try many different outlets, and you figure out that most of it is just waste of money and time. But by the time you figure things out, you spend a lot of time and money on that. And that's frustrating. But then you're just trying to figure out the best outlets to use it to promote your business. Plus, I was working at Zumanity two shows a night, so I had to exchange, like, we had to take care of the front desk and business operations and emails and everything with my business partner, who was also working at Zumanity at night. So we were hiring the front desk girls in helping us to take care of the front desk while we're at work. So we would work the whole morning and daytime, and then at 5 p.m. We would both go to Cirque and do shows.
That's a lot.
It's I can tell you it's a lot. The first 2.5 years, I was so the shows finish up. At that time, the shows were finishing. So the second was what 10. So it was like 11:30. By the time you get out of the dressing room, everything 11:50. Then you go home 12:20. By the time you eat fast, I would say you eat and hang out. It's 1:30. And then me, when I was doing business for 2.5 years, I was waking up at 6:30 every morning, because at 7 a.m. we would meet at the cafe and already start discussing business and going to the studio and doing construction and doing ordering the equipment and everything and preparing. And then when we open up the studio, we were working the front desk pretty much the whole time, all of us. And it was a lot of work. So basically I would wake up at 6:30 a.m. 6 days a week and go to bed at 1:30, and that was 2.5 years.
Oh.
It was tough. It was tough, and seeing how much money goes away to waste also when you do mistakes, and then you go to shows, you make money, then you go to the bank, you let's say losing money on the business, you have to pay salaries, so you just put your card, pulling out the cash from your account that you just got salary at Cirque, then putting up the business card, putting the money in there so you can pay the salaries to the instructors. That was frustrating. There was a lot of difficult times, and I didn't know how to do business before, and I thought that would be so much easier. Like the funny thing, when I started the business, before I started, I thought that it's hard to open up the business, right? Mm-hmm. But then when I started the business, I realized no. Open the business is easy. Survive, that's the hard part. so yeah, it took us several years to get more or less on our feet and try to understand what we are actually doing. And then slowly we were growing, and now we have four girls at the front desk plus 2 of us, so we can and that's why I was able to go to Russia for 2.5 months, because we have people at the front desk who help us now to run the business, to do operational stuff, so we feel a little bit more comfortable in that sense.
Oh, that's good. How was the effect with the pandemic this last year on Shine Fitness? And were you already offering virtual classes, or did you offer anything virtually? I know you shut down for a little bit, but
yeah, we had to close like everyone else in March for 2.5 months until June. And June we were able to reopen with a lowered capacity. And since then we just try to stay afloat. I wouldn't say it's easy. It's pretty hard, because we would have to we had to cut the expenses. We had to look out for a budget. We had to make sure that the clients are staying in and paying the memberships, and we have the revenue up and all that stuff. So there was a lot of work. So that's why when we reopened in June, I was actually thinking to go on vacation somewhere in summer. But then when we reopened, we had to manage the business and come back to up the speed. So I had to stay in Vegas and deal with all of that. And then when that was done, and then we kind of got into the feet a little bit, we started to have a little bit more free time, and that's when I was able to leave home for vacation.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that you're going to expand Shine Fitness? I mean, I know it's difficult to think about that now because so much has happened, obviously, but Were you ever thinking to expand it anywhere other than being in Vegas?
Yeah, I was thinking actually I miss home. I miss Russia as well. I miss my parents. Mm-hmm. And the older I get, I think the more I will prefer to be more mobile. I will probably live in 2 countries and States and Russia. I'm going to be more like traveling here and there. And while I'm going to be there, I'll probably want to do something else. So I'll probably going to open up another studio just like that in Russia, in Moscow.
Of course, in Moscow. Oh my gosh!
And have a digit exchange sometime.
You're going to become a billionaire in Moscow. Is that it?
Yeah,
is that
I
it,
think
Dima?
so.
That's going to be your new path.
We'll see.
I hope you're able to do that. That would be cool if you opened another one there. Yeah, you can keep me in mind.
Yeah.
I'll come to you when I need a new job. I'll help you open up Shine Fitness in Moscow. Well, I won't help you open, but I can be something. I can work your front desk. How's that? I'll work your front desk.
You can do a lot of things. You're multi-talented and you're great. So I think we'll figure out a way.
I'll use my little bit of Russian. Don't worry. I'll make a great receptionist for you. I've got a good voice, hospitality.
And I'll bring you to Lali for a tea. That would be great.
Yes, you can bring me to Molly.
Yeah, I should love that.
That'll be my dream coming full circle. Could you imagine if she saw me after all of these years? Really?
That would be so cool, huh?
I mean, like, everything comes back to her, but I mean, I think she would faint if she saw me after all of these years. Even though you can tell her, like, not much has changed. I'm like, same size, same hair, look is the same. Yeah, that would be so special. So, on to the end of our interview, because you are, like, best hand balancer, incredible, so amazing. You have your alternative, Shine Fitness, so amazing.
I'm not going to interrupt you. I might not agree with everything you say, but it's nice to hear,
You're just gonna listen. You're just gonna let me do my spiel, okay?
I'll just pour out the compliments, yeah.
Like we were talking about before, you just let me get my compliments out. You know how much I love you. But I can't not have you say some things about how to train handstands, how to train hand balancing. What do you think about the training for handstands? What advice do you have? What do you see, especially right now and in the future, for online for the handstand training? Everybody has so many questions about handstands all the time, about hand balancing. So I know it's something that we're always all talking about, but obviously that, I have to ask you that. So what do you want? What are your handstand wisdom, quotes or nuggets that you want to get? Even though I always tell people you can't learn things from just two, sentences. It's so much more than that. It's like what you're talking about with Shine Fitness. It's a full lifestyle. I tell people learning a handstand is a lifestyle to learn that, because that's how we learned. Yeah. We learned handstands and hand balancing through a lifestyle. We didn't learn it from, just do 1, 2, 3, ABC, and then that's it. And it's going to be fine. It's hard. It's difficult. Anyway, I won't take up more of your time telling you what you're supposed to say, but that's what I feel in connection with that. So what is it about hand balancing that we need to know?
I can just agree to you, and that's it, right? So about hand balancing, depends on what kind of goal you have. If your goal is to become an artist and perform on stage, you have to train as much as you can, of course, as much as you can, and try to develop your own way, your own style in hand balancing, because there are so many people doing similar things, and everyone is different. And if you're gonna look deep, look at yourself and try to notice, try to feel yourself. What are you thinking? What are you breathing? You can find some individual qualities in yourself that you can use. You can develop even more, exaggerate them, and maybe create an act based on your individual qualities. And I think this is the most important thing, is to really first of all, of course, you have to be very strong, so you really have to put the work in, and not just to have a water around and just try to cover it with some individuality, Of course, you have to put the work in, but also you have to really personalize your act and try to figure something, find your strength and weaknesses and try to manage them to create something really unique, really from you, you know. So that's for professionals. If you're going to do it just for fun, then it is challenging. But the main thing probably is consistency, because like when clients come to me, I have a lot of yoga instructors come learn in my classes. And when the yoga instructors come, of course, people have this a lot of how I say, a lot of belief, like you know how in yoga they always say this, like, believe in yourself, da da da, open up to universe, all this stuff that I don't like. Yes, I don't like much talk without basis in it. I mean, all those words that they say, it is true. At the end of the day, it's true. They're very deep. But in my experience, most of the people take it lightly, and they don't really. They just hear it, and they repeat it as a mantra, but they're not really putting any work into it. You know, when I have yoga people in my class, I always say them that, guys. So you don't have to believe in yourself. You don't have to open up to the universe. You don't have to do anything of that. You see the wall at the end of the room. That's, you go there, you go upside down, and you stay as long as you can. That's all I need from you. And that's it. Not much talk at first. Then all these things that they're saying, they'll come. But they'll come naturally to you. They come through your exercise, through your pain, through your struggle, through your overcoming yourself, your character, your fears, everything. You know, those things will come. They are there. I'm not saying that they're not there. It's just you have to do a lot of action to get there. You cannot just say those things and lay down on the mat and think that by visualizing you're going to get somewhere. Now. I know, I'm pretty straightforward.
That was everything. That was like the best thing. But I tell people this always too.
After all, I've been trained in sports soccer in Russia. Right?
I mean, what does anyone expect you to say? This is exactly what I expect you to say.
You wanna get results, you have to work for it. That's it. There's no way around. There's not something that you're just gonna breathe correctly and the handstand's gonna appear by itself. No, you go up and down. You can't even breathe because you think you're gonna take a breath and you're gonna fall down on your face. That's what you think for the first moment. So it takes time until your body, the coordination will come, the strength will come, the understanding will come, the feeling will come, and then when those things come in, then you can think already deeper and take care of your breathing and go to next level. But this is a next level. When you do beginner stuff, you do absolutely simple stuff, but they're very difficult. You have to, the body is not, when you didn't get used to be upside down. So there's a lot of work before you even gonna think about those things. You have to get your body prepared first. And it's challenging. But in my opinion, it's one of the best full body workouts. Like, if you're going to be even a little consistent, even like 2-3 times a week, you're gonna see the results very fast. And I have clients that progress so fast that I even look at myself thinking that I didn't progress that fast in my professional sport. It just surprised me that people do learn very fast.
They do. They really do. They surprise me also.
Yeah. And they get strong very fast. So and it's fun. It's fun. And the thing is, when the people get the benefits, they learn, they feel, it is just people get hooked because it's one of the best things. Like everybody doing the phones and computers and all this stuff, and they try to figure out how it works. Yet no one tried to develop their own body and see what your body can do. People just, in regular life, people just sit, lay, and walk. That's it. But like us athletes, artists, like when you work with your body, it's such a happiness to be able to move. You understand what your body can do. You understand what capabilities you have. And when you develop it, you become even more flexible, even stronger, even healthier, even more confident. It just brings so many great aspects into your life, that we try to show people, try to show public that if you're going to do a flexibility class just a little bit, just a little bit, you're going to be much healthier, much happier. And trust me, your partner will appreciate that.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget that benefit.
Absolutely.
Your personal life is going to be major. They'll thank everybody afterwards. They'll thank all of Shine Fitness.
Yeah, absolutely.
Beautifully put. Well, Dima, what is it, for my last little question, what is the future for you? As an artist, obviously you talked about what your future is for your business. So the expansion of Shine Fitness, looking forward to that, or even some other different type of business. Maybe you'll get inspired in a different way, something that's going to make you really, really hungry again. But I'm sure it'll probably be some form of Shine alternative fitness. But yeah, so what is your current status, like performing wise, and what do you think about Circus just kind of moving forward? I mean, we're in such like a weird, crazy time, what do you see with all of this kind of like unraveling for Circus and kind of coming back together?
I think it's going to take some time for Circus to come back. People asking, will it come back? Of course it will. It's an entertainment. All the people, humanity history, there was entertainment, so it's part of our DNA. It will come back. It's just going to take some time. Also, the form is going to come back. It's going to be a little bit different. Of course, companies will try to save money and push maybe the prices down, but also there is like what I see around myself with the colleagues, with the year break almost, right? With almost been a year of no shows around. A lot of people went out of their specialty. They went out of their shapes, and to the level they probably not going to even come back. So I'm sure there also the struggle of staying in shape without the job is also going to put some artists out of the job because they're not going to be able to come back. So I think it's going to balance that out. And for me, I personally think the shows will hopefully this year slowly come back to the scene, and everything going to be back to normal in the shows world. Yeah.
Do you think you'll do another residency show or a resident show? Or I mean, because
me, you see, the thing is with the older you get, the more things you trying to. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine
Who's
that?
Getting older?
Hey, I'm 35.
What?
Trust me. I was 21 day, and I thought that whatever.
You're Dima Shine. You can't be 35.
The thing is, when you're 20, the only thing you do in life is you train, right?
Mm.
But then when you go over 30, and now I'm 35, there's a lot of things happening in life. You do business, and then you do something else. You have relationships. You thinking about the future, about family or not. You like there's the lives going on around you. So it's not only circus that you do in your regular life. There's tons of other stuff, and then like me, I'm doing business, and also I do some investment projects, and then I do the stock market. I started to learn because there's a ways to build wealth for the future and everything. Because at some point, I would like to just when I will decide to finish Cirque and do something else, I'll just
at 70.
I'd like kind of. I'd like to be absolutely independent and free in the sense that I'll just have enough money to do whatever I want, so I don't have to take any job just to work, to make a living. So I do a lot of things a part of Cirque. But the thing is with age, and I know 35 is not much, but for the circus, I have my own style, I have my own tricks, and everything is fine. But like now you look at the 20 years old students coming out of the circus school, and they do combinations of tricks that you cannot even do one trick out of that combination. just look at them, and you're like, oh man.
Because because you paved the way. They wouldn't even know what to do with those combinations.
Yes.
They hadn't learned it from you.
Okay, yes, but they still do that to you then. you can try to find a cover for it, an excuse. But the fact is, they do, you don't.
I'm a diplomat. I'm always diplomatic.
And as much as I understand where it's coming from and where it goes, yeah, it's understandable. But the thing is, when like me, I'm very competitive person. My coach in sport raised me very competitively. I was like, I could just like die on treadmill. I'm not gonna step out if I'm gonna compete with somebody. Like it went to absurd. I would go to sauna and then I would sit there, and if I see someone coming in and trying to stay there longer than I would just not come out until they give up. Like to like stupid fun stuff, fun little challenges in life. But you understand? Like I understand that I can't do that. Like I have the energy. I can do that. I can do also those tricks. I can develop more. I can train myself to be again in absolutely tip top shape and do the things that nobody does in the world. But then you ask what it takes. It just takes time of your day. So if I'm going to do that, then I have to stop everything else and just do training. But then when you get older, your life moves on, and there's other interests coming up into your life. There's other things that you have to do coming up into your life, and there's less time for training. So you have to. It's a balance, It's a balance of. I guess that's a balance that everybody trying to find for themselves in life.
It's a hand balance, Dima. It's a hand balance.
Exactly. When I started hand balancing, my horoscope sign is Libra. It's a balance. So I was like, wow, that's meant to be.
Oh my God. Yes. We understand. Again, yes, you were meant to be, Dima. You came like you were created out of a flower. Perfect. We know. You have the sign. You're the Libra. You're the scales. You're the balance. You're everything. We know you're the full package. You're still, again, I will say this to people just before we go, that as much as you're talking about the newer ones that are coming out, for you to be doing still the skill level that you are doing after all of these years, listeners, listen up. That is not easy to do what you're still doing at your age, at this caliber. It really isn't. I mean, you have to get there. And I always tell people too, like, when, like what you're talking about, like training and all those things, it's like, I don't want to do that anymore. Like there's a time for everything, like what you're saying, there's a time for everything. And, but there still has to something to be said. Some people, not everybody can hold on to those qualities and keep them for many years. Like people cycle out much faster after they're at the high level when they're a young circus performer. But with you, really, I mean, you should be very proud, even at 35, the combinations and the skill level that you're doing. I mean, like right before the pandemic, you were on Da Super Talent. I mean, you were gorgeous.
Yes, I was there. Did you see me? It was pretty cool, huh?
I saw it. They were crying. The audience cried. The coach cried. Yeah. I think you took his soul. Like he was so in love. he cried. He was so tight. Like he could not handle. And this wasn't even your first time.
That was a great experience.
Of course it was. Everyone needs to watch it.
You know how it happened with Super Talent?
How? Tell us.
You throw you very fast?
Yeah.
It was very fun. So I did Super Talent in 2009, just before I went to Banana Spiel. And I went to the final, and in December, they invited me to go to the final show. And but I already signed Banana Spiel, and on the 3rd of December, it was a premiere of Banana Spiel. On the 1st of December, it was a Super Talent show. So I knew that Cirque du Soleil not gonna just let me go just like that to do this TV show, so I had to give them something that they cannot say no, right? So I called now my friend Anatoly Zalewski, and I asked him, I was like, Tolik, can you come and cover me for those days? And he said, yeah, no problem. And I went to direction and I said, Anatoly will come. I cover everything, expenses, everything you need to cover for him. I'll do that. Can I go to the show? And they said no. So they said no, and
Even with
I had to
Zalewski.
cancel.
You offered them Zalewski, they still say no.
Can you imagine?
Can you imagine? Really?
imagine?
Really? The heart attack? Really? Not even Zalewski. Okay.
Yeah. So they said no, and I had to cancel Germany. But the Germany was like the producer called me, and he's like, "Do you understand that like they measure the popularity and everything?" He's like, "You're the most popular act in our show right now, and you very close to winning, and the winning is like €100,000 in 2009." And I was like, I understand, but I cannot. Like, I had to decide quit Cirque du Soleil and go to get those money if I win, or to stay with Cirque du Soleil and keep the good relationship and finish the show. So I decided to quit the show because I was just starting my career with Cirque, and and it was a dream place to work for. So I decided to stay with Cirque. So the Germany sent the filming team from Germany to Chicago, where we were at the time, and they did a huge video on why I couldn't come for the final, what I'm doing when pursuing my dream with Cirque du Soleil and all this stuff. So they had to film the explanation why I'm not in the show. So that happened, and then I finished Zumanity in 2018, and I wrote everyone that I'm available, and I also wrote this TV show in Germany again, back, saying that I didn't finish something I started 10 years ago. So guys, what do you think about finishing it up? And they're like, "Wow, that's a great idea. Come." And I'm like, okay. So I came in August. I did the show. I got the golden buzzer to go to the very final, and I have this act that I perform with. I have some modifications of it, but it's mostly just like that. And I was like, I wasn't thinking I'm gonna change much. I was thinking I'm gonna show similar. They're just gonna edit it a little differently, and it's gonna look a little different. But then, so I finished the show. I came back. It was September, and so when I finished, also go back a little bit. When I finished Cirque, I started to do some coaching and different private trainings and all that stuff. So I went to Le Petit Cirque in LA. You know this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I went there, and I was teaching the workshops. And one of the days I went there, and there was a lot of there was a guy, and there was hundreds of people around him, blah blah, talking to him and discussing, taking pictures. And I was like, oh, whatever. So I just stayed there next. I just was staying next to the guy because I was waiting for my turn to do the workshop. I was next, and the guy just stays. He stays there. He looks at me. I look at him. He's like, "Hey, my name is Lucas." And I'm like, "My name is Dima." So we met, and it actually happened to be Lucas Graham. You know Lucas Graham?
I don't know. Do I?
That song he sings like, "Once I was 7 years old. Mama told me, blah, 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 blah." You know the song?
Can you? I don't know.
I'm going to probably find it. 7 years old. What? So I met Lucas in that time. And then we just started to chit chat on Instagram time to time, because he also likes to train and to do hand balancing and all that stuff. A part of his singing, so I was training with him a little bit, and we were just chit chatting some time to time. You know this song. I'm sure you know this song.
Once I was 7 years old.
Yes. Is he?
You know this song, right?
He's Lucas.
Yeah, this is Lucas.
So then that's how you use the song for your act, your final, because you met the singer of the song.
Yeah, so that's the guy. I met him there. We hang out a little bit there. We trained,
Of course, you met
and
him
then
in
we were,
LA
yeah,
at
and then we were
Circus.
talking on Instagram a little bit, and then so fast forward couple years later, like one year later, 1.5, it's September, and on Instagram I saw that Lucas posted that they're going to LA they're gonna have a concert there, and I texted him. I'm like, hey Lucas, like saw your ad, you're going to LA, come hang out at Vegas if you have time, so just chit chat a little bit, and then he texted me back. He's like, oh, we in San Diego today, come to the concert. And there was a show day. It was Sunday, and I was like, "Oh, I cannot. My days off are Monday, Tuesday." He's like, "Yeah, tomorrow we have a concert in LA. Come to LA." So I'm taking my friend, and we're driving to LA to his concert. We meet up backstage. He shows around. We hang out a little bit before the concert, and then we went to the audience for the concert, and I was listening, like we were listening to the music, and then one of the songs I really, really, really liked that I didn't hear before, and everything else, blah blah, fine, bye bye. And then I was driving home back. I found the song on the YouTube, and I really liked that song, and that's when idea came to me that how about to create the act for Super Talent for the final for this song. So I come back home, I'm thinking about it, and then the next evening I'm taking my laptop with me to hookah. I went to smoke hookah, and I went to my laptop, and I wrote Lucas a big email explaining him like my vision and all that stuff, and and actually my idea is to go to Super Talent and create the song and the act under his song, but also to have him there, so he would be there singing it live, where I would be there performing under the song, and we would be dressed the same way, and the idea was that it's the same person. It's just one expresses it through the voice, the other expresses it through the movement, and having both us on stage and all that stuff. So I wrote him all this idea, and in my surprise, the next morning he answers me and he's like, you know what? I talked to my whole team and everybody's super excited about it. Because for me, I thought that he would probably agree for me to use his song, but he would be too busy to do that. But he comes back to me with like, yeah, we're a game. Absolutely. And I was like, man. That's when I started to move things up, and we connected with the producers of the shows, with the TV channel, with everybody, and everybody agreed. The label of the Lucas that works in LA agree. Everybody agreed to that. And then at the very last minute, the channel, the producer of the channel, the directors, they refused because it's a competition, and having Lucas like worldwide known artist being with me on stage would give me a lot of attention. So they didn't want to put this in competition, and they refused it. But I still used his song to perform and all that stuff. That was a lot of fun.
Wow.
But we had a great time anyway.
Wow.
He called me after. Yeah, it didn't work, but he called me after later on, like in December, and they had a huge gala event in Denmark in January with like, I don't know, 25,000 people or something, like huge arena, and there was a like sports event, like they were like awards for athletes, for actors, for everybody, like people who have done some achievements in the country, and he was performing there. So he's like, I'm gonna perform there, you want to come perform with me? I'm like, of course. So yeah, that was my last year on the 1st of January. I flew to Denmark for 10 days, so we had the show together. It was just huge.
Wow.
Yeah, that's another like little story, like when this I finished Cirque, and then you're thinking, okay, what's next? And then it's just interesting in life. And again, that's another person that I met in my life just out of nowhere, you see.
Yeah, I know.
So it's just interesting. You never know who you're gonna meet in life, and that's why I like to meet people, because you never know who you're gonna meet in life and where it's gonna lead you.
It's true. That's such an amazing story. I love that there is that story behind that song. I mean, obviously, it's all the act and everything. I couldn't
So
imagine.
for me, it's a little bit different meaning now,
Yeah,
with all
a slightly different meaning. Well, just to be quick with my story, I have my little tiny story for Das Super Talent. This is hopefully going to make you laugh. So mine was not like that. My experience on the show was a little different. So anyway, so we did the show. We did the first episode. We got this special thing or whatever, the buzzer or something like that. And they gave us the medal and, so special. And we were performing at the Winter Garden. So we were just like around the corner. So we just like rode the bike to Das Super Talent and then rode the bike back to the studio to do Winter Garden like afterwards. But like we went there. And so then after they were like, okay, they were like, you're gonna go to the final and it's gonna be amazing and it's gonna be great. And we're like, great, yeah, we're excited. Like we want to go to the final. Thank you. We got the whole thing. So then they're like, but we want you to do it for free. And we hadn't done the first one for free. Like we got paid to do it. So we were like going back and forth with them. They didn't want to pay us. And so we were like, well, we're not going to do it. Like we still want to get paid if we're going to do the final, if we're going to do like the second or third performances, right? So they got really upset. And so they took us out of the final.
Yeah, they did it to my friend as well. They did the same thing to my friend as well.
It was so funny. We were like, but we already made it to the final. They were like, not anymore. You're not in the final anymore.
Yeah.
So that was the end. That was the beginning.
There's a lot of things involved, politics and all that stuff. So it's come on.
So it was just really, really funny because we were like, us. We were just like, no, like we're not going to do it. And they were like, well, we can't believe you don't want to do it. And blah, this is so this and this is so that. And we were like, well, you paid us for the first one. You have to pay us for the second one. But it was just hilarious. You should have seen, they sent like all these people in to talk to us, like the first producer, the second producer, the director, the owner of Das Super Talent, like the manager, the agent. Like they sent so many people to try to make us do it. And we were like, no. Yeah. So that's my story. It's not as epic or as amazing, as your incredible story, Dima. But, I have my tiny little story right there. But thank you for, like, bringing that all, like, full circle with Das Super Talent and, like, how that happened. Like, that's really amazing and beautiful. I'm so glad that you had that experience right before the pandemic and everything happened, too. Like, you had that beautiful experience that was, like, this pinnacle of you guys coming together, especially because you didn't get to do it, like, before because they didn't allow that to happen. Yeah. So I like that it still happened, but it happened in an even better way. Like that, I think that's like really, really special. But thank you again so much, Dima, for coming onto the show, for coming onto the podcast.
Yeah, just let me know. It's from our experience that it's not easy to find the right time for both of us so we can connect and discuss those things. But yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. It's a lot of fun. And in the future, I would love to come back and talk to you more. And, there's lots of interesting details and stories in life.
Oh.
At some point I was even imagining myself like, there's a picture when there's old grandpa sitting under the tree and there's like lots of kids around and he tells the stories. So I feel like I'm going to be a storyteller when I'm going to be old.
Thank you, Grandpa Dima. We're looking forward to it. Grandpa.
Not yet.
That'll be.
I still have to collect more.
I like how you're like, looking into the future and have a grandpa. You're 35, Dima, so we'll hold off on the Grandpa Dima podcast for you've got some time on that, Grandpa Dima. But thank you. We'll keep that. Keep that idea alive. But yeah, we'll bring you back on when you're available in the next 2 or 3 years, when you can make time again, Dima. And we're in the same place. I want you to live a little bit more life, live some more miracles. And then you can tell me some more stories. But I really appreciate it. I adore you. You're so amazing.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
so lovely. So thank you so much again.
Thank you.
I wanted to end this episode by acknowledging the recent victory of Cirque du Soleil artists led by the efforts of creative director Gabe Dupuy. who finally, after nearly a year's time of advocating, received the monetary compensation that they were owed since the beginning of the pandemic when Cirque du Soleil thrusted it into bankruptcy and failed to meet their debts to their employees. I've been in touch with Gabe on and off since last year. And even though he hasn't made it onto the podcast yet, I hope to have him on this in the future to discuss his journey of holding Cirque du Soleil accountable. It was an incredibly difficult year for Gabe, and so I respected his overwhelmment throughout this last year, and I applaud his efforts in fighting for artists' rights. And speaking of circus rights, there is the newly formed American Circus Alliance that will be launching on Earth Day, April 22nd. The Alliance is dedicated to building a national coalition for the circus industry, recognition of circus as an art form, addressing equity, diversity, and inclusion within circus, response to the COVID-19 crisis, and bridging the gap between circus students and the profession. Membership will be open for enrollment on April 22nd through the American Alliance website, and it's free for 2021. It's also the day that the Alliance will send a letter and its collected signatures to elected representatives imploring the incoming administration to prioritize commitment to the arts. This letter they have written as part of the Be an Arts Hero 100 Days of Art and Activism campaign. Some things the Alliance has already accomplished as they were organizing is a nationwide economic impact survey of American circus during the COVID-19 crisis, advocating for circus to be included in the Shuttered Venue Operators Grant. It was at first excluded. Funding workshops specifically for circus companies presented by the National Endowment for the Arts, and they got a circus representative on the National Endowment for the Arts panel overseeing multidisciplinary art grants for 2021. Some goals the Alliance has identified and organized committees to pursue include regular advocacy activities and calls to action, an economic impact study for American circus, an equity, diversity, and inclusion committee dedicated to creating more inclusive and equitable practices for the field, workshops in professional development, a group insurance plan, a North American touring network for circus, a grant program for new circus productions, and what else do we need to do for each other. For more information about the ACA or how to join or sign up for the mailing list, visit www.americancircusalliance.org. As those who tune in regularly for the Live Like an Acrobat podcast, you know that I passionately call for the unionization of the circus arts all the time, and am pleased to move forward with the American Circus Alliance in an effort to achieve tangible rights and governmental recognition for the circus industry. I'm exhaustive in my call to forming a more perfect union with our collective strength as a community being the solution to solving the deep fundamental issues that we have as an American circus society and international circus society as well. Even with respect to the dire situation of Cirque du Soleil, I really hope that the employees of Cirque form a union of their own as well to make sure that the company continues to be held accountable for the future and that there is an outside alliance, much like what we see with the unions being created by Amazon employees, for example. Conversations and dialogue and panels and podcasts are all essential to speaking truth to power, don't get me wrong, but the ultimate goal is laws, policy, and legislation, and we need to continue to go beyond social media activism because that is how you produce real change in the circus world. That is what you can stand on when you face real-time inequality in an industry that prioritizes financial gain above the fundamental human rights of those who serve wholeheartedly a billion-dollar entertainment industry. So I hope to see you on April 22nd, and here's to the American Circus Alliance. The Live Like an Acrobat podcast is also available on Circus Talk, the inclusive, independent, and international online network for the circus industry. Circus Talk's mission is to create a level playing field for this industry and democratize access to information. Please consider subscribing to the Live Like an Acrobat podcast and to the circuspreneurblog.com, where you will find extended conversations and interactive content of each episode of the Live Like an Acrobat podcast. I'm your host, Shenea Stiletto, and until next time, please stay safe and stay healthy.